everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing around with using collage papers and using a hard bristle brush to create our background. So I'm starting off with this image from Natalie May Scrapbooking, and I'm painting out the background of the face with some white acrylic gesso. Now, the reason I do this is just to protect the colour from the face. I knew that there was going to be a bit of a colour background behind it, also because I'm sticking it in ledger paper. I didn't want the ledger paper to sort of come through it, so I wanted to make sure that the background, or at least her face, would sort of stay white. If anyone's used collage papers before, you'll know that once you put the collage medium on it, it goes translucent. So I would be able to see those black diamonds through her face, and I didn't particularly want to see that. Because it's also collage paper, I'm tearing away any white that I don't need or want. The reason for that is it's just extra hard work to get rid of the white, so to speak, unless you sort of paint over all of it. So I personally like to get rid of it, just because I don't like those harsh edges too much. So I start off with Payne's Grey in the background. I love using Payne's Grey because it is a soft black colour. It's actually a really deep grey, but it's not as harsh. If I'd used a black, it would be really harsh against this. So having that softer colour really sort of works and balances it up. I'm now going in with some different shades of green and just using my hard bristle brush to paint it on. So I don't usually use my hard bristle brush very much because I used to find it really hard to work with. But in actual fact, it's just use the brush that you need for the purpose that you need it for. A hard bristle brush is actually really good if you want to see your brush strokes. So for this, I wanted those short, sharp brush strokes. I wanted to see the texture. I wanted to see where it was going, and the bristle brush really worked well for that. You can notice that there's not many bristles. It's quite short. It's very firm. It's very tightly packed. It doesn't bend much, so you get very rectangular strokes when you're using it. If you've got a gluey brush, it'll probably work the same. So just use what you've got. In the background, I am just layering up colours. I'm using some inspiration from the collage sheet that's there, but I'm also sort of adding in some additional colours, so like the greens and some of the blues as well. Then I'm going in with some of the skin tone paint, just to sort of paint in the background, make it look complete, and then I'm just rubbing some of it away with the diamond pattern, just to sort of help repeat that pattern. Then I'm going back in with some blues and then repainting over it, adding up some layers. So it's all about just layering stuff up. Because the bristle brush is very firm, you're not putting on very much paint at once, so it actually dries really quickly, which makes it really easy to layer colours. You're not, even though these are still wet, they haven't necessarily dried, because it's going on so fine, it's not really going to move or blend much with the other colours on the page, if that makes sense. So once I've sort of dotted all these colours everywhere and dried it off, then I'm going in with my Stabilo pencil, just to sort of give some definition to the face, to the hair, and to that shoulder or coat that I've drawn in on the woman. I actually decided to leave the area on the right hand side blank, which I was really happy I did in the end. It's not something I usually do. Those people who follow me know that I'm not very good at leaving white space, but in this case it kind of worked for me, so I was actually quite pleased that I did that. So I'm sort of sitting here going, oh, what do I do now? What do I do now? I was looking up for a quote to put in that space, but I wasn't necessarily 100% sure I had finished the background and the painting itself. I was really loving it, but because it's so un-me, and it was not something I've done lots of, I just need to sit with it for a little bit and see if that's what I wanted to leave it as. So I'm going in and writing my quote using Pinterest. I think I chose strong women or courageous women quite often when I'm using the Natalie May scrapbooking pages. She has titles for the women at the bottom of the page, so like sibling rivalry or fire and ice. So I quite often use those as the keywords to find my quotes, which I find really, really handy. Once I've found my quote, then I write it out with fine pen, then I go over with a thicker pen or thicken the lines by just drawing over them a few times. This one I wanted to be very handwritten, very elongated to fill in the space, and I didn't want it to sort of stick out too much, so I just didn't do much to it, which is again very un-me. Then putting in a little bit of white highlighting onto her body with my white Posca paint pen and just spreading it out with my finger. So I didn't want harsh lines, but I just wanted that little pop of white just to add that reflection onto her shoulder to show that it pops it out from the background somewhat. I'm then going in with my quote and just adding a bit of a highlight around it, just again to pop it out from the background. You don't really see it, you'll see it in the close-up, but it does make a difference to your lettering by putting a drop shadow or a highlight on your letters. I do always dry it off afterwards because I'm a sucker for putting my hand in it and smudging it. So just remember, if you're using paint pen, that it is paint, and while it does dry fairly quickly, there is the opportunities to smudge it. So once I've finished just balancing up a little bit with my black Stabilo, here you can see the finished piece. So by using that short bristle brush, or hard bristle brush, you can sort of see how those brush strokes layer on top of each other to create some interest in the background, to get those really painterly strokes and to balance up the page. So I hope you have a go at doing that. I got my brush, it's a Dina Wakley brush, but any hard bristle brush will do the same. And as I said, if you don't have one, try a brush that you forgot and left in glue, and that might work. Until next time, bye for now.